For 33 days, the 49ers were the talk of the NFL draft, and who can blame the media? Everyone knew who was going number 1 and number 2, but no one knew who was going number 3, so the question was, which QB would it be? Now before I begin, I want to give context to the situation that led to this. So let's start with some context. The 2020-2021 49ers team wasn't good. After losing to the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl, the team had high expectations for themselves. And also the fans, as they dubbed this season the revenge tour after a comment that tight end George Kittle made at the end of the game.
I will be back here. I will be back here, and I will be back with vengeance. You will not get the best of me, no sir.
But the revenge tour didn't happen due to injuries that the team faced this season. For context, only one player from the Super Bowl run played in every game this season. The most glaring injury though was Jimmy Garoppolo, who mostly missed every game dealing with a high ankle sprain that he got during week 2 from Quentin Williams. That should have been a flag in my honest opinion, but the point stands. Jimmy was injured, and it was felt for the games he missed, because it seemed for some of the games that if he was there, they could have actually won, most notably the Eagles game in Washington. So injuries to their QB room were a concern for this team. Both GM John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan's goal for the offseason was, first off, sign the players that they needed, which they did remarkably, and then to strengthen the QB room afterwards. So say Jimmy goes down again, the team will still have decent play, and honestly, they looked everywhere. Here's just a list of some of the more notable ones that they were connected to. And mostly, yes, there were reports for the first 2 QBs on that list that could come to the Bay Area, but nothing happened since Matt Stafford went to the Rams and Deshaun Watson is currently facing legal problems. The last resort was to trade up in the draft, and they did to the number 3 pick, which is where it gets interesting. The same day that the trade happens, NBC's Chris Sims tweeted out his thoughts on the trade, and the first thing he said was that the trade was for Alabama QB Mac Jones, and the media ran with it. Now you may ask, why would they do this? Well, for a few reasons. One, Chris Sims is good friends with Kyle Shanahan. They were college roommates when they were at Texas, and he has also gone on to say he ranked wide receiver Brandon Ayuk low in his mock draft, so Kyle would have a better chance of drafting him, in which he ultimately did. Secondly, it's no secret to the league that Kyle loves Kirk Cousins. Anytime he talks about him, seems it was his favorite QB to coach, and if you are connecting dots here, the closest QB comparison to Mac Jones is Kirk Cousins. Now this is where it gets interesting. It seems every week in April there was a new favorite QB pick for the 49ers, with the first week being Mac Jones, so let's start there. The moment Mac Jones was the media's favorite is when the 49ers faithful on Twitter tried to push off that narrative, because who can blame them? How can this middle-of-the-road safe QB option in Mac Jones, who was mocked before the trade to go around 15, skyrocket up everyone's drafts to number 3? Now, as this is going on around the media, Mac Jones had his second pro day due to COVID not allowing private workouts. And luckily for the media, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were going. What the media wouldn't tell you about, this was the first chance that they could go to a pro day after the trade, because Trey Lance and Zach Wilson had their first pro days before the trade. And just to keep things short about Mac's pro day, here's a picture of Kyle Shanahan when Mac Jones overthrew a receiver. Next up on the rumor mill was Ohio State's quarterback Justin Fields. If you were to ask the Twitter side of the 49ers fan base, more specifically the content producers for the 49ers gold mine, this was Kyle's guy. And who will blame them for thinking that? The QB Collective, which is something that Kyle Shanahan was part of, kept on posting pictures and videos of the two together. And, you know, you do the research and you know the person running the account is Shanahan's agent, so it made sense. Then came a second pro day in which Shanahan and Lynch appeared to watch it. After it was said and done, Ohio State's media team released pictures and videos of the pro day, more specifically this one picture right here, which made 49ers Twitter very happy. Now, the funny thing is, the media seemed to not want to talk Fields to the 49ers that much. Instead of the week, it seems they were bashing Justin Fields for character issues and leadership that weren't there. Most notably was Dan Orlovsky, who said he heard from many people that Fields had issues, which for most cases were lies. When you talk to people that know Justin Fields, and this has been going on for past few drafts, you know, with the references to Anyway, on to next week. The following week was very quiet, and that should have been a sign of things to come. This week was all about North Dakota State's quarterback Trey Lance, more specifically his second pro day, in which nothing was shown from the North Dakota media team, which everyone, even me, found weird, and we didn't even try to connect it. We thought it was either a very bad pro day from Lance or that the media team didn't get high quality footage, which I think most people believed the second one there. The most notable thing about this week was that The Athletic's David Lombardi mocked trade to the 49ers as well. And basically for the entire year as well, John Chapman of the 49ers Rush podcast mocked him to the Niners. Now we are on to draft week, in which was a very stressful week, not gonna lie. For some people, they were stressed over the Peter King mock draft that said Mac was going to the Bay. The reason this stressed people out was Peter King knows Kyle. He basically knew who was going to pick for the past 3 drafts, even knowing Mike McGlinchey was going to be the draft pick, when I feel like no one basically mocked that besides him. And secondly, was Aaron Rodgers. Reports came from Adam Schefter, in which it was basically Aaron Rodgers wanted out, and the most notable team name was the 49ers. And you know, the 49ers did their due diligence. Basically, Shanahan called LaFleur, or however the heck you pronounce it, and he basically asked him, "Is this true?" And LaFleur said, "Don't even call." Now, what did all this lead? Now, what do these 33 days of chaos, arguing, and stress led to?
Of Commissioner Roger Goodell.
With the 3rd pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State.
After drafting him, Kyle and John said he was their guy since January. So how did a 19-year-old kid impress the offensive genius of Shanahan? Well, you got to wait and find out. Now, before I leave to make the next video, I want to give a shout out to all the 49er content creators that push back on the national media takes and were headstrong in their opinions, even if they were wrong. They made this process so fun to like just watch, and like you hear them, you know, talk about the other rounds. Like those live streams were better than some of the ones where we were talking about, you know, the quarterbacks. So I just want to say thank you to all those dudes, specifically, you know, the 49ers Rush podcast. Here's the Catch, the Athletic podcast, all the 49er Gold Mine stuff, just all that was great, and thank you guys so much for making that content, and see you next time.